Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Russell, the Rock Your Joy Coach. Thanks so much for joining me today, and welcome to my channel, and Happy New Year. So, my topic for this week, given the fact that we've just entered a new year, is planning, and specifically, Spirit's plan versus Ego's plan, and how that works in your life, and what happens when your plans go to shit, and how do you react, and all of that. And I'm taking a lot of today's material and also some quotes that are in the blog post from lesson 135, which is just all about planning. The name of the lesson is If I Defend Myself, I Am Attacked, but it might as well be the whole 411 on planning, because that's pretty much what it's about. And so, what does it look like when we try to plan our own lives? And why do we plan? And, as a psychotherapist and as a transformational coach, I talk to people a lot about their making their plans and what happens when their plans, go awry, and why do they focus so much on planning. And I hear over and over that it helps people have a sense of control, to know what's going to happen, and that it helps them with their anxiety, when they know how the future is going to transpire. And I get that, and that is something that we tell ourselves, but it's not true. Just because you make plans doesn't mean you know how things are going to go and what's going to happen. you know, Planning doesn't make the future work out the way that you want it to. So, and especially when we're planning from that kind of a position, we're coming from a place of fear, which almost guarantees that our lives won't work out. Lesson one of A Course in Miracles, right? If you're planning with the ego, if you're involved in the ego in anything, it's pretty much guaranteed not to work out, because that's the whole point to the ego. Is the ego doesn't want your life to work out. The ego doesn't want you to be happy. It's not your friend. It's not your helper. It's not going to help things go smooth. It's basically going to fight for its own survival and doing whatever it can do to keep you focused on this world and making this world real, and always coming from a place of fear, always. So you're planning from a place of fear, then you're planning to have a fearful future, a fearful outcome. And usually the kinds of plans that we make from a place of fear like that are, sort of planning against what could happen, planning against the negative outcome that we don't really want, which again, it increases the likelihood of that outcome actually happening, because we're putting the power of our minds to it, and our minds are incredibly creative and powerful. So planning like that, where we're coming from, thinking, first of all, the arrogant thought that we think we know how anything is supposed to happen. No, we don't know how anything's supposed to happen. And when we think we do, we're limiting ourselves so much. Where our ability to see all of the possibilities, and how every outcome interconnects with other people, and who it affects, and the ripples that it causes. We can't see any of that. We can see our tiny little corner of the universe. And, let's be honest. I mean, when we're making plans, we're usually looking at how I would like this to work out for the best for me. And we're not really thinking about the highest good for all concerned. And if we are, then rock on, good for us, but we don't know what the outcomes are for all the highest good of all concerned. So even if that's our altruistic, goal or intention, we don't know how to get there. We don't have that map. We don't have that GPS. What we do have is the spirit in our mind that actually knows where we're going, knows where we're supposed to be going in the way that we don't, has the map, is the GPS, knows how to get us there, what the best route is, and knows how to architect everything for the highest good of all concerned. And and so why wouldn't we engage that being, that part of our minds to be able to plan for us? Why would we not do that? Well, we wouldn't do it because we would be in our ego minds, and our ego minds are incredibly resistant to us doing anything that is going to be, first of all, that is going to make us happy, that is going to take our attention off of this world and put our intention and our allegiance onto anything other than itself. So the ego is not going to encourage us to have a relationship and follow the guidance of our inner teacher spirit, because the ego wants to actually be our inner teacher. And the ego likes for us to believe that we have usurped the power of our inner teacher, usurped the power of God, and rejected God and killed God, and we should feel nothing but guilt and shame and terrible about that. So for us to be able to put our faith in the plan, one of the things that I love about A Course in Miracles, one of the lesson 194, which is, I place the future in the hands of God. I just love that phrase, and that's something that I say to myself several times a day, especially if I'm tempted to get wrapped all around the axle about what I'm supposed to do and how to depend on myself to make a plan, and how it's all going to transpire, and what are all the moving parts and all of that, and I'm looking at myself to try to figure all that shit out, which is just never a good idea. And so lesson 135, I'm just going to read to you one of my favorite quotes from this lesson. This lesson is just chock full. If you want to know what the Course in Miracles thinks about planning and how it advises you to go about planning, you can read the attached blog that I have to this video, which can give you a lot of the quotes from it and the general gist of it. But reading this lesson 135, if I defend myself, I have attacked, is just so fantastic in terms of really getting at what the Course is talking about. And it's also so reassuring. It's just beautiful. So one of the things that I wanted to read to you is, the mind engaged in planning for itself is occupied in setting up control of future happenings. It does not think that it will be provided for unless it makes its own provisions. Time becomes a future emphasis to be controlled by learning and experience obtained from past events and previous beliefs. It overlooks the present, for it rests on the idea the past has taught enough to let the mind direct its future course. And the problem with that is that the past doesn't direct the future. That's a real big misunderstanding that we have. And even in the field of therapy, one of the hats I wear is as a psychotherapist, and even in the field of therapy, there's this belief that because something happened in the past, that is going to predict how this person is going to turn out and be in the world. And the only thing that makes the past predict the future is our belief that it's going to. That's the only thing that predicts any kind of a future, is the belief that we hold about it in our minds as we create that future for ourselves. And so if we believe that something in the past is going to transpire in such a way so that it happens a certain way in the future, that'll be what our reality is. But it's not because the past predicts the future. It's because our minds create the future. And if that's what we're holding as the pattern, then that is what's going to develop as from the pattern that we're holding in our minds. And so it's an erroneous statement, but it's one that we just put a lot of faith in and give a lot of weight to. It's not even true. And yet we spend a lot of time, so we spend a lot of time back in the past looking at and picking apart and regretting and feeling bad about, or whatever it is that we've got, that we got, whatever mojo we got going on about the past. And then we spend a lot of time in the future being worrying about it. How are we going to make it happen the way that we want it to happen? How are we going to ensure that the outcomes that we want are going to take place? And so we spend all this time in the past that is over and a future that's not here, instead of in the one place where we actually really can find joy and find peace and be happy and just enjoy our being, which is in the present moment. That's the only moment that we really have. And that's part of what this lesson is talking about. And I love that it literally gives you the step by step instruction for how to plan for the day, how to plan for your life. And it is, surprise, it is not planning yourself, not depending on yourself to make the plan, certainly not depending on your ego mind to make the plan, but rather to go into speaking to spirit and allow spirit, the spirit in your mind, to make the plan for you. And that's really what a healed mind does. A healed mind, as A Course in Miracles says, does not plan. Again, another gem from this lesson, but rather it waits to hear what the plan is from the one who knows, from spirit. So I'm going to suggest that you read that lesson 135 because it's fantastic. And as I said, there are a number of quotes in it from it in the blog that's attached to this video. And what I'm recommending and what I do every day is, because I used to get all upset when my plans would go to shit, and especially if it were plans that had to do with my schedule for the day, my work schedule for the day, if my paying clients would cancel. Some days my whole day fell apart, and I would go into fear and scarcity and lack around that whole thing, thinking that again, I would take this situation and I would project it out into the future and predict what was going to happen to my practice and my life and my bank account and my ability to whatever, be able to sustain myself and in this world based on a few clients canceling or rescheduling appointments. It was ridiculous. But what it did is it kept me in a place of fear. It kept me rooted and focused on this world and what's going on in this world. And it certainly didn't open me to other possibilities, and that maybe there might be a better way, a better plan, a better idea and way that things could work out than the way that I had scheduled them. And the more that I practiced A Course in Miracles, and the more that I let things go, the more that I just allowed spirit to plan my day for me, the more that I see when any plans get canceled or rescheduled or things go differently than I thought they were going to, I look at that as gift. Is okay, this is spirit thankfully interfering, because I've turned my day over to spirit in the beginning of the day. Spirit is not in the habit of wrestling your plans away from you and intervening in your life without being asked or invited, because that would screw around with your free will, and that's not spirit's jam. And so we have to invite, we have to extend that offering and that invitation and ask, help me plan this shit out, because I don't really know how it's supposed to go. And so at the end of this blog, there's a button on the screen that you can click, And that will take you to my daily practice for guidance. And it's a prayer and meditation. It's a recording. There's also a PDF that you can download. And that is what I use every day. And it allows me to set my day up to surrender the way that I think it's supposed to go to spirit, and allow for spirit to come in and kind of take over, be in the driver's seat. You know, he knows where we're going. He's got the GPS, he's got the map, he knows the way. And not only the way that's going to be right and perfect for me, but the way that it's going to be for the highest good of the highest number of people concerned. You know, we're not really separate in this world. We're not. It just looks like that we are actually really just one being, one extension of the divine, one son of God. But in our experience, we're separate. And so so spirit meets us where we are. And so this plan that spirit is going to come up with is going to include those synchronicities and those happy accidents, and that those serendipities and those connections, and where things work out not only for the highest good for me and for you, but for as many people concerned as there can possibly be. And spirit's actually able to see that and have that information in a way that we just can't. And so when we trust and just have faith and believe that, okay, this is the way this is supposed to go. And if it's not going the way that I wanted it to go, it's because it wasn't supposed to go that way. And for me to just own that, to just trust it, and to just be like, okay, yep, I get it. I wasn't supposed to go like that. And if it was supposed to go like that, it would have. We just spend so much time resisting, and it wasn't supposed to work out like that. This isn't the way that things were supposed to go or transpire. And, you know, plans got all fucked up. And then whose fault is it that it got all messed up? And we get pissed off and we blame people, and we look at it like something went wrong. But what if nothing is ever going wrong? What if what if we just accept everything as it is? You know, there's a part in the Course in Miracles that says, let all things be as they are. And what if we just did that? What if we didn't have this emotional attachment to, and this reaction to, and this meaning that we make out of when things do or don't go a certain way, and we think in our arrogance that we know and that they should have, and somebody somewhere messed something up. So it's so much more peaceful, and it's such a much better experience of life. It's so much calmer and more serene, and actually more fun, and sometimes more adventuresome and more exciting when you just roll with shit and you just allow yourself to be guided to wherever it's going, wherever this ride is going, and assume that there's something great for me there. You know, that there's something that is happening that is for my highest good. I was listening to a training the other day, and the people were talking about, you know, instead of that worry that people have sometimes when they're in fear and anxiety about, you know, they're always being afraid that something bad is about to happen. That what if you just adopted the position that something great is about to happen? Like around the next corner, there's just going to be something awesome for me, and I just can't wait. I'm so excited, and I don't have to know what it is. I just trusting that's the case, and so I'm just gonna be excited about it. I'm gonna look forward to it. I'm gonna welcome it, and you know, if you live like that, it's such a joyful way to go through life, and you're not afraid and anxious, and you're not upset and angry, and you're not in this place of anxiety, or you're not trying to control everything all the time. And so you're not in as much conflict with other people, right? Because when things don't go a certain way, that's who ends up, getting the splash on them of, when the shit hits the fan. That is who gets splashed with it when you have a reaction to it. And so if your reaction is to just be like, hey man, this is how it's going, this is, okay, I'm good, I can just roll with this and wait for what's about to happen and be excited about it and enjoy it, and just have it all be part of my experience. Your journey through life will just be miraculous. And that's what I just is part of my role in being here, and part of my purpose is to help you have a miraculous life. So definitely click on the link that's on the screen, or is in the blog, and go ahead and download the daily practice for guidance, meditation, and prayer, and make that part of your own daily practice if you don't already have one. It will just change your life, as it has changed mine. It's not because it's the practice that I recorded, but I'm talking about the practice that is set forth in the Course in Miracles, of giving your day over and just surrendering your experience to spirit and allowing yourself to be guided by your inner teacher. So another thing that I wanted to tell you is that you may have been watching, if you've been watching these videos over the past month, I've been running a special on my coaching packages, and there was a holiday offerings link that has been included with the last few blogs that I've done for the month of December. They were supposed to end on New Year's Day, and I made the decision, partly because of the response that I've had to them, and also just because I resonate with the whole 12 days of Christmas and Epiphany, and the idea that the wise men actually, it took them longer to arrive to visit the baby Jesus than just getting there by Christmas. And so I am extending my holiday offerings until through Epiphany. So if that's something that you were thinking about, and maybe you wanted to engage in coaching, or maybe you have in the past and wanted to have another round of coaching, or try out spiritual counseling with me, I just wanted to let you know that those prices are going to be remaining in effect through Epiphany, which is this coming Sunday. I just encourage you to check that out if you'd like to. And if you do want to do that, then you can book a discovery call with me, which is free. And it is an experience of coaching, where we work on something that is actually happening in your life, and so that you can get a flavor for how I work and see if it might be something that you're interested in and that could be helpful to you. So if that sounds good, then go ahead and check that out. And I'd love to have a discovery call with you. And so if you've liked this video and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do click the subscribe button. Here every week, talking about the practical application of A Course in Miracles to your life, and how to rock your joy with A Course in Miracles. So thanks again for being here today and for joining me. I just love connecting with you like this, and I appreciate you being here. I love you.